Welcome, everybody, to the PHDJ podcast. My name is Mike.
And this is Joe Bunn.
Joe Bunn and Mike Walter coming off of events this past weekend.
Woo!
How about that? That's the first time in a long time you and I can start a podcast when we just did. Where'd you work? Saturday this weekend?
Saturday. Yeah.
Tell me about it. How'd it go? Wedding, right?
Wedding. Yeah.
How'd it
go? It went really well. It went really well. Cool. And was really...
Guest count? How many? Oh, you don't want to say?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. I had 24. It sounds like you were north of me, right?
It was way north of that.
Okay. Way north. Way north because you're way south.
Yes. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was not legal for sure.
Yeah.
And not safe. But
yeah.
This is what we
had the perfect setup. First of all, it's a beautiful room.
Yeah.
And they put us on
like a place you play regularly?
Yeah, it's about an hour north of us. So it's not, we're not recommended there, but I mean, I've been there before and the staff has been there before. I'm familiar enough with the room. It's a gorgeous room, but it's an atrium. It's all glass enclosed and they have fairly close neighbors. So they have a sound system they have to tap into.
Oh, nice.
And they have, a decibel limits normally. And then also they set us up on a little bit of a balcony. We're not too far removed, but we're about 10 feet above everybody else. So normally I hate the noise restriction and I hate being removed from people, but Saturday night to me was it didn't really, 24 people, it didn't matter. I didn't need to, shake the glass, and being, up a flight of stairs from everybody, I felt fairly good. P.S. I'm still getting a COVID test today just to be on the safe side. But I felt kind of confident. And you know what? I'll tell you what, for 24 people, it was a pretty good, gig, quick gig. But the moments I had, I got a few people dancing and a few people singing along. So I wasn't unhappy. And the gratuity at the end wasn't too bad either.
I took that in my lap about 30 minutes ago. Can you see what it is?
Oh, you got a test? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So what do you have, a take-home version?
No, it's drive-through. No, it's drive-through.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah, I just drove through on the way to work.
And is that because you worked this weekend?
I don't feel good, man, and I worked.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel good last week either, and it was a negative. But I don't know if I've just got a lingering cold. It's about that time of the year where I would pick one up.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was really good, man. It just was not.
You didn't feel legal. Yeah.
No. It just didn't seem very safe. And I mean, I did my parts, what I've been doing all along, and tried to keep my distance, had my gear kind of backed up all the way to the wall, and I don't know, but it was great, man. People are thriving to get out there or dying to get out there on the dance floor, and once they do, man, it is just
totally my experience.
Yeah.
People haven't been out in months, and when they get the opportunity, kind of, I don't know if you saw the video footage of the Alabama students celebrating the championship.
God.
But yeah, I expect a few more cases. Unfortunately, they're all college kids, so
that was bananas,
the death rate will be very minimal. But I heard somebody say, some reporter said, good luck to all those students' grandparents.
Oh yeah.
So those students should stay in college for a little while. They shouldn't go home on any weekends. But
man, that was,
I mean, listen, we're all pent up. You know what I mean? Everybody is what's this term? Cabin fever. And when we have the opportunity to get out, we get out, and then we have a couple cocktails, and that changes.
Changes your safety protocols.
Yeah. But
Anyway, I'm glad we both worked. Probably mid-February, Mike.
February 20th for me. Right now, I got the 20th and the 27th that are holding on. So.
Yeah, same. I think around there. I have a really good virtual show next week for a video game company. I think next week.
So you're spinning for them virtually?
Yeah,
cool.
On Zoom. I think for like 4 hours, just kind of setting a vibe.
How does the audio on Zoom work? Are you going into that with like an OBS type system?
I'll probably run it direct out of the laptop I'm streaming on. Just choose that on the drop down menu. When you go in the audio settings, your controller, most of them will show up as your mixer, if you will.
Okay.
And
does Zoom have any blockage as far as copyright?
There is a feature. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's in their bylaws that this is not what they would want people doing on it, but I've done a few like dance parties early in the quarantine using Zoom. That I pitched Twitch and this, that, and the other, and for some reason they just kept going, sending me back to Zoom. So the main feature on Zoom you have to remember is that in the audio settings there is a feature that is called Turn Original Sound On, which means like if you have any kind of mixer or stuff like that, you want to basically take all that compression, echo, cancellation, all that stuff off. So it'll show up when you turn it on up in the top left. Make sure you turn Original Sound on.
Okay.
Or else
I'll tell you why I'm asking a little bit later in the show.
Yeah.
Please stop emailing me about taking Joe's place. He just said he wasn't feeling well. He's not dying. I've already gotten 3 emails about, hey, if you need a new podcast partner, stop, people, please. It's inappropriate.
It is. It's too early. Too soon.
It's not fun. It's not funny. There's an old Howard Stern reference for you. It's not fun. It's not funny. Do you remember who said that? Billy Crystal. They were.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember they used to do those red carpet interviews?
Yeah,
just ask stupid questions, and I don't even remember what the setup was, but they asked Billy Crystal something, and he went, "It's not fun. It's not funny," and he still plays that from time to time. All right. So anyway, topic of the week is new marketing and new sales in 2021, which is it's hard to say we're separating this from COVID and not, but what things are you doing differently? Let's start with the marketing aspect. Are you doing anything differently going into this year to try to attract new clients for Bunn DJ Co?
We, I guess the first thing that that I know is different this year, and it started, I think, last month, so recently, is spending a lot more money with a company to improve our SEO. So
you hired an outside company to do that?
I did, correct, and pay them on a monthly, basically, retainer to stay on top of it. Instead of when we launched that current site 3 years ago, I think we probably just paid like a one-time fee, and then nobody's really touched it since. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work in this Google realm.
SEO is something you need to stay on top of.
Right. And I could see us falling. We would still be on page 1 or 2, but I could see us falling, and I could see quite frankly, I could see DJ companies that had no business being ahead of ours on there, and it was driving me absolutely apeshit. So that was something I decided that I wanted to spend money on for 2021.
Very smart. And I just Googled Raleigh wedding DJ, and you come up on the maps. There are a lot of ads, and I've read good and bad about advertising to get your name up there. But you do come up on the all around Raleigh DJ. See, the problem is you can't do it from what I've read. You can't do it from your home base,
right?
Because it knows you're looking for yourself, so it's going to give you yourself. If that makes sense. But for me, like if I'm just a client, remember that client that I happened to fly down and they were on the same plane when I was coming to consult with you. If I was a out of state client saying, "Hey, I'm getting married in Raleigh, let me look for some DJ companies," you come up on the maps, but you don't come up on page 1.
Yeah. I'm like on 3 on myself when I get myself.
And listen, I look at you're on page 2. You're high on page 2 for me.
Okay.
But I'll give you the ones that are ahead of Raleigh Wedding DJs, foreverbridal.net.
That's a wedding show.
Yeah. And see, that's the problem. Places like the Knot and Wedding Wire, WeDJ.com, top 60. Oh, that's another search engine.
Site,
yeah. I mean, these companies are just doing a really good job of grabbing
even
SEO. But good for you.
They're SEO companies. Wedding Wire and the Knot and Thumbtack. They're not wedding companies. They're SEO companies.
I heard somebody say the reason, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but they said the reason why Zillow is kicking ass in the real estate market is they if you just search for a house in your area for sale, Zillow's the first thing that comes up, and they've just done such a great job at commanding the SEO. So
crazy.
Great. Anything else?
We had a bunch of, I wouldn't call them wedding shows. That ironically, Mike, my understanding is they did the big wedding show at the fairgrounds on the 2nd and 3rd. It's always the first weekend of January.
So you mean in person?
in person, from my understanding. We haven't done that show in about a decade. The big cattle call kind of what I would call cattle call. So I don't know about the attendance. I can't really speak on how many people showed up, how many vendors actually went through with it. But we had agreed to do probably, Mike, 3 open houses, mostly there are a surprising number of new venues opening. Now there are plenty of venues that have closed, and I'm talking about places I've been playing at since I was, 20 some years old.
Right.
But there are several venues that must have already been in progress of being renovated or restored that are opening. And Randy in particular, has done a really good job of staying on top of when they're opening. And so we had several of those planned. A couple of them did bail, but a couple are still going through. And what they're doing is, it's not like basically they're making you sign up for a window. So they would say you could come from 9 to 10 a.m. to see the property, or 10 to 11, or you had a window, so people were spaced out. But we were still the only DJ there, so those have been really good for us. Even in the settled world, if you will, we would do.
And the attendance at those were okay.
Yeah. I mean, 30 to 100 couples throughout the day. You know what I mean? And we were the only entertainer there. Just kind of setting a vibe, playing background music. And so we picked up shows from those. But in the real world, in the settled world, we would do, Mike, probably, golly, man, eight of those between January and February.
Oh, yeah, us too. Yeah. I mean, it's these weekends in January and February are weird because I'm used to waking up on a Sunday and getting ready to go to a bridal show and like, where's the show today?
Sure.
And I mean, maybe there's a topic for a future show. I don't know that those are ever coming back. I really don't.
Ever?
I don't know. Wow. Especially if these other avenues become successful. I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But yeah. So to kind of going along what you talked about with banquet halls, that's been one of my concerted efforts. Is I'm just staying in touch with our banquet halls more than ever. I think I mentioned this on a number of shows last year because of a lot of the rescheduling and even just the unrest in our industry. I now have a lot more cell phone numbers in my cell. I've been texting back and forth with a lot more banquet managers and caterers and people like that, and really just checking in. How's your new year starting off? And we're seeing more referrals. And quality referrals, and I'm a firm believer. You and I always talked about this at the workshop, how important those relationships are with your banquet people. So I know it's kind of grassroots, but I think staying in touch with the people who recommend you just on a regular basis, let them know that you're eager to hit the ground running this year, and send anybody over you can. When we get a phone call or an email from a client that says I was referred by blah, 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 I'll often just text or email and say, hey, we heard from Mary from next year. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Keep them coming, that type of thing. So, again, it's grassroots, but I think it's definitely helping.
Man, I couldn't agree more, Mike. I mean, in fact, I spent my night last night at a NACE meeting in person with a speaker. So it was maybe 30 people.
So what did that look like? Is everybody masked at that? Is everybody social distanced?
Everybody's masked during the cocktail part. They usually ask you who you want to sit with at your table, pre getting there. Your pod, if you will. And so like I remember there was a table of planners that all worked together. They were at a table, maybe of 4 top. I was just with another photographer, and we had a literally 6 feet between us on a 6-foot table, probably. And in fact, even all the food was pre-boxed, so you could either choose to get food or not. So it was like a charcuterie box, if you would. By
the way, great job pronouncing that word. That is not an easy. That's not an easy word.
Nope.
I often get tripped up on charcuterie, or what is it?
CHARCUTERIE. I'm nice on that one.
Look at you rattling off the spelling of it too. Yes, very nice.
Well, but I was very happy to see it, and in fact, So I'm sitting there, of course, on my phone after the speaker talks, and they're going through all the announcements and the housekeeping, and they're like, "And next month, special guest speaker Joe Bunn." And I literally dropped my phone. I was like, "Oh, what?"
Had you agreed to that? Or?
Yeah, I forgot I had agreed to it. And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And then like I look up on the screen. It's reset your. It's this topic. It is this podcast played back, made into slides, and whatever you say, I'll act like I made it up. Right.
Well, at least I hope you'll credit me a little bit.
Right, there. Right, maybe like in the bottom right, like a little sub note.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, so I mean, and then also I did re-up my advertising with the Wedding Wire and the Knot.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of DJs who and other vendors as well who let that stuff go because last year was tight. And believe me, those checks are not easy to cut because it's expensive. But we still get a lot of leads through those websites and at all hours of the day. And we try to get back to them ASAP, which is probably more of a sales thing than a marketing thing. But so that was, I'd say those are my two main things. And then third, also, I'm just trying to maintain our social media feeds because I still think those are important. It's hard because I don't have the content. Usually I've got the content from, the last couple months weddings. We did so few weddings in the last few months. I don't have photos. I don't have video, but I'm still trying to put as much content up there. My goal is 2-3 times a week with Instagram. Just make sure I keep a post up there about something.
That was exactly my last comment as well, was just make sure you stay on top of, if nothing else, your Instagram and your company Facebook page. Same thing, Mike. I think I've pre-scheduled all of January. I definitely kind of went back in the archives and brought out some photos we hadn't posted in a while and, came up with new captions and so on and so forth. Definitely have been pinging a few of the photographers from last year. Hey, still would love to get those pictures from you. And I got some great ones recently, and hopefully I felt like I got shot a lot last Saturday. So
yeah, you put up a picture of
I was dancing
on the dance floor.
Yes.
Now, was that pre-COVID or during COVID? You don't want to say.
I'd rather not say.
I just put you on the spot. I'm sorry. Yeah, I took a screen grab of that. It was cool to see Joe Bunn. Where is that? Yeah, right here.
Mother of the Bride. Yeah.
If anybody's interested, go back on Joe's socials. Yeah.
It's probably the
boogieing, dude.
Yeah, dude. I got down. I don't know. Like something just, I think it had been one of those things where I had been shut up for so long and it was small wedding, and
it's a rare sighting to see me on the dance floor. Yes, it is.
Yes,
but it
is.
I got a kick out of that.
I
took a screen
I knew you would like that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you and I are so aligned, Mike, on this. Like sometimes we do things differently, but this marketing, these efforts, I can't stress enough to people listening how important your relationships are going to be right now in terms of your networking. I literally am on the board of NACE now, which I haven't done in probably 10 years just because I'm too busy to ever really focus. And I am like marketing, like marketing and communications, which is not going to take, too much of my time. But I intentionally did that, to be even more active in that chapter this year.
Right. Very good. How about selling? Anything new? And I told you needed to check with Randy on this because I know he's doing a lot more of your frontline selling nowadays. But
we're it's pretty much the same. We still respond to that first inquiry as a human. In other words, we don't let DJ event planner automate that particular email.
Totally agree.
And then it goes into their, the automation sequence and DJ event planner, pretty much the same. But I will say I did reach out to Randy, knowing this podcast was coming up, and also just from a standpoint of, and Mike, you've now that you're kind of one of the sales guys, you've got your finger a little more on the pulse than I do. But I just said, hey man, I was talking to my accountant or something. He just wanted to know what this year was looking like, and he was like, man, we honestly got like 50 leads over the last few days. Like, the leads are coming in, contracts are going out, the leads are being sent to the DJs are booking Zoom meetings. Like the world is still spinning and it's spinning in a very positive manner. Now, listen, are there going to be still reschedules and this, that, and the other? Yes, unfortunately, but he was very positive, and Randy's not like a sunshine and rainbows kind of guy.
Right. He'll tell it like it is.
He's from New York.
Yeah. Our leads for the first, what's today? The 11th,
13th. Come on, Mike.
So I looked at them. I looked at them yesterday for the first 12 days of the year, and I think we were down about 20%, which is still down, but it's not like we were like September and October. The number of leads coming in was down almost a third from comparable to last year. So we're down, but we're not down that far. Last week, we actually closed 10 sales. So the fact that we got to the number 10, I was thrilled about.
10.
So 10. And yeah, I mean, the same thing. I shared a screenshot. Monday, I looked at the appointment schedule on Monday and I was like, oh my God, we're like back to, old times. Lynn had the first sales call at 10 and I had the last sales call at 6:30 and we were pretty much steady all day long. Now,
that's awesome.
More calls than meetings. We only had one face-to-face meeting client come in and we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I felt like that's kind of the sign that things are getting back to some normalcy.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And a lot of these are 22 brides.
Oh, interesting.
And because everyone we talk to, we ask, when did you get engaged? And most of them are sometime last year. Did you give any thought to a 2021 wedding? And a lot of them say yes. But as soon as we saw how busy 21 was, we decided to wait till 22. So we're seeing a lot of, which is going to help us because 21 is so booked up on so many different dates.
I agree.
I tried to sell a Sunday in September in 21, and I had to call a DJ who had the day blocked off and ask him to open it because we're already booked up as far as availability. Yeah. And he was nice enough to say, yeah, open it up. I'll take it, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's how crazy 21 is going to be. And that's the first week of the year I had to do that. So, So as far as selling, are you doing anything different?
No, really not, Mike. No price changes up or down. Same process. Pretty much.
Are you pushing the virtual sale more than ever, a virtual meeting, or had you already gone to that this time last year when COVID wasn't even something we could imagine?
No.
Were you doing as many virtual sales, or were you still encouraging people to come into the office?
No, we would definitely love for people to come in. Yeah. It was 90-10. Now it's 100.
So are you offering in-house?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would love for somebody to come in. It has been me here since March. I had one couple come in this summer. Actually, it was the parents of the bride, and we video chatted her in California, and she was furious that they were here. They were older, and I said. Kelly or whatever, I said, listen, I promise you, I told them 10 times that we could do this on Zoom, and they insisted on coming here and meeting me. And she was like, Mom and Dad, I cannot believe it. And now, this was mask, and everybody, all three of us were masked up, and I sat, on the other side of the room. They were kind of facing the screen. I did my whole presentation, but it was, she was really pissed that they were here. And that's the only 2 people I've seen since March in this office. Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, we reconfigured our meeting room. We pushed the couch back even further and where we sit even further. So we're literally about 10, 12 feet away from the client, but still we keep our masks on the entire time. And clients have been cool with that. So we throw it out. We say, look, let's take the next step. Let's have a conversation. We can either do a phone call, Zoom meeting, or face-to-face. We have an office, socially distanced, safe, masked. And I'd say at this point, it's probably 50% phone call, 30% or probably 40% Zoom, and 10% in office, which I'm comfortable with. And, I think, again, you and I have talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but let's drive this home. What you miss in a face-to-face without a face-to-face, the handshake, the being in the same office, there are a lot of benefits to a phone call or a virtual meeting. Monday night, I did a 5, a 5:30, and a 6. I never would have scheduled face-to-face meetings like that. Never. I would have done. First of all, it's hard to get somebody in your office by 5, unless they're a teacher and they're done with their day by 3. So probably your first appointment is 6, and then it's at least 45 minutes, if not an hour. So 7 is your next one, and maybe 6:45, 7:30, maybe 7, 8. So the efficiency of going 5:30, 5:30, 6 is undeniable. And I love the face-to-face, but even nowadays with the masks and everything else, it does feel kind of weird. So I don't think there's anything wrong with pushing that phone call or Zoom meeting. And P.S. shout out to Jason Janai. Are you following his new YouTube channel?
Yeah.
He did an entire video this week about virtual meetings, and it's really worth checking out. If any of our listeners are not following Jason, probably are anyway, but check him out on YouTube. I just watched it earlier this morning, so I don't want to be redundant and repeat a lot of the things that Jason said. But I mean, we were already going this way as the world anyway. And I think COVID has really just kind of has shoved us over the line. And that's where I wonder, with things like bridal shows and face-to-face meetings, if when things return to air quotes around normal, if we ever will stop those things. I don't know. Or if a lot of those things are here to stay.
It's crazy, man. I think a lot of things are going to change. It's just, it's all up in the air right now. It's crazy, guys.
And then the other thing, we are knee deep in planning. You've probably, I don't know if you saw the pictures I put up. We did some videotaping this past weekend.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
We're planning a virtual show, which is one of the reasons why I was asking you about Zoom. We haven't decided what platform to do it on. We're doing one at the end of the month, but we're hoping if it works, we're probably going to do one monthly for the next couple of months. We're
like
taking
a showcase?
We're taking our private showcase concept where we would rent out a banquet hall and invite brides in, but we're going to do it virtually because I just don't feel like that format is safe right now, nor would people show up to it. But so my thought is it's going to be a combination. It's going to be Dominic, Tom, and I live. The three of us are going to be the only ones in the office live. But then we're going to go to videotaped, pre-recorded segments from time to time. And I have different DJs of mine that have come in and pre-recorded segments. And Tommy's going to finish editing them in the next week. So that's and I don't know whether that's a marketing or a selling. It's really kind of both. But that's our approach to that. Since we can't showcase, quote unquote, this winter because of COVID, we're gonna try this. And
I thought y'all were filming new bio videos like for the website or something, but
it's gonna be kind of like that, but dropped into our virtual show. We haven't even set the exact date. We're thinking about the last Saturday of the month, so January 30th. But I'll announce it on the show. And I mean, especially if we go YouTube, if we go YouTube live, which is what we're looking at, then I have no problem with people stopping in and checking it out. Any of our listeners. So
that would be cool, Mike. I'd love to see how it goes.
We're really interested in that.
Yeah, very cool. I don't think I have anything else. If you are struggling with your in-person meetings, I will just plug something. This weddingsalesmachine.com. If you're a Vault member, you already have access to this content, but you might have seen the ads running on your Facebook feed of me in the hazmat suit doing an in-person consultation.
I did, yeah.
Anyway, it's weddingsalesmachine.com. It's kind of the PowerPoint or the keynote that we use here at Bunn DJ Company, and it really helps the DJs I have that are not salesmen get through a really good Zoom presentation. Put it that way. Shameless plug there.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, man. I can't believe you didn't say anything. Look, have you noticed anything, Mike?
What, new mic?
Yeah, the black one.
I'll be honest with you. And
you like the gold.
Kelly says this to me all the time. She goes, you're not very observant. And I think sometimes I do miss things like that.
Right.
No, I didn't notice. Yeah.
We've been doing this for what? 3.5, 4 years. Is it 3
the color
years?
of your microphone is not something I
didn't care about the black version.
Memory on.
Exact same mic.
Right.
Sounds good though, right? But it's black.
I think it sounds great. So what'd you do with the gold one?
I gave it away.
Did you really?
I gave it away to the Vault members. It was on the 12 days of Christmas giveaway special.
You gave away your COVID infected.
It was not COVID infected at the time. It's only COVID infected now.
I hope whoever got it leaves it sitting in their garage for a month, disinfects it, and sprays it down.
He'll sanitize it.
That's
well.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, man. Great seeing
guys.
you again this week, Joe.
Good seeing you, man.
Oh, wait, did you come up with a topic for next week? Tease it, Richie. I don't want to get an email from Richie.
No, it's not a Richie.
But I'm saying Richie. It's Richie's idea that we always tease next week.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah. Joe's
Mike,
week is next week, so
it is
so we're going to be talking about
the overall heading should be called like becoming an adult. Like, let's talk, Mike, about the things that you should be doing to protect yourself and your family, i.e., insurances, will, things like that you've done.
Basically, you're stealing my savings idea that I teased last week. Okay, nice job. Way to bogart my. Well, that's the last time I float an idea out to you. All right, I like it though because
I swear to God, I didn't think about that. I was driving here today.
It's a broader topic.
A post-corona test,
All right,
and thought
so being
that
an
was a
adult.
good topic.
Okay.
Yes, becoming an adult.
Becoming an adult.
Even though we're both 50 something.
Okay, very cool. I'll take that.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.